Casher to You writes, Achie is gifted to speak and it can be both heard and felt in her podcasting. Her episodes are relatable, encouraging, and authentic, and I'm excited to hear more. Thank you so much, Casher, for tuning in and for leaving me a review. It's always a pleasure to know that my work is impacting others in a positive way, so I appreciate you very much. Hi there, I'm Achie, speaker, coach, and entrepreneur. I'm also a wife and mom to the Seans, my brilliant hubby, Sean Sr., and my vivacious toddler, Sean Jr. I am a perpetual student to this thing called life, and boy, has life taught me some lessons. What I absolutely love is helping you to identify and debunk the limiting beliefs that cause you to hide from your awesomeness. It's time to reprogram your thinking. So settle in, get comfy, and let's girl talk. Just you and me. This is the I Am Achie podcast. Welcome to another heart-to-heart segment on the I Am Achie podcast. These episodes are created just things that I want to share from my heart to yours, things that are at the top of my mind that I just want to get out without any notes or without any outlines or any talking points. Like we're literally sitting in the living room together, like for real in these episodes. And how do I want to start this? So I was having a conversation with someone, and a lot of my episodes are stemmed from conversations I've had with people. And I was having a conversation with someone, and they were sharing their personal belief system and why the people that they were talking to, it was kind of irritating them that those people weren't believing the same thing, and they just didn't understand why and how they could operate their lives in this kind of way without believing and thinking the same way that she did. And I paused because my first reaction was to be like, oh, how dare you? And, I didn't say that to her because I remember a time in my life where I was exactly that way, where I felt like what I believed and what my truth was should be absorbed and lived by others and by everyone. Like I knew the truth. And that particular truth that I knew was true for everyone. And it took a lot of living and a lot of life experiences, and I wouldn't say tragedy, but I'd say just life. Let's just keep it simple, life, because we all experience life, and life can throw us some heavy blows sometimes. And life can teach you, life can ground you, life can center you. And I just calmly told her, that is your truth. What you believe is your truth. If you want to be around people who share your truth, you have to find people who share your truth. If you are okay with being around people who don't share your truth, then you are not to judge them because of that. You have to give them the room to find whatever truth works for them. And because your truth works for you, it doesn't mean it's going to work for them. And because their truth works for them, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you, because life brings us to different levels and different stages. And I've said this before on my podcast, and it bears repeating. What could have been true for you 10 years ago may not be working for you now. And that could be the very thing that you're holding on to that's causing you to feel stuck, or causing you to feel lost, or causing you to feel discouraged and confused. And I think that we need to make it a habit to reevaluate what is true for us. A friend of mine texted the other day in a group text, and she was so happy, and she was just expressing how she discovered that she has a new top value in her life. she's very intentional about identifying her values in life and what's her top value and so on and so forth down the list. And she discovered that her top value has changed. And I told her that that's amazing. Self-discoveries can be beautiful, right? But I admire her for recognizing that and expressing it, because a lot of times we don't do that. We don't reevaluate what's true for us now. And we shouldn't be judging people anyways, but I understand that that can be human nature. But we certainly can't judge people based on our truth. And again, I speak so boldly on this because I've done this. And the way that I was raised with the beliefs that I had, I felt like, and even as an adult, some of the things that I learned, I just felt like the truth that I had was like the ultimate truth. And that ultimate truth is to govern everyone's life. And for those who don't live by that ultimate truth, they are lost and damned. I'm laughing, but that sounds ridiculous. They're damned, and their life will be in shambles because. Now, here's the deal. Life has consequences built in, right? So you make certain decisions that aren't in alignment to where you are or where you're trying to go. There are consequences. Okay, that's that. However, you can arrive at the truth that serves you in many different ways. And I just think that we should judge our own truth. I just don't think that we should judge others according to what's true for us in this moment. Because, for one, you put your foot in your mouth, for one. It's so funny. A quick story. I talk about my son on this podcast all the time. He'll be 4 in July, end of July. He is a ball of energy, to say the very least. To say the very least. He is a ball of energy. He's a ball of light. He's so loving. And he's extremely energetic. Okay. And we were at a little party. Oh my gosh. And it was a nice party. And we just got there, and he goes to they had a couple of bundles of balloons just for decoration, right? Picture purposes and things like that. And he goes up to the balloons and he's like shaking the balloons to dear heaven and he's like shaking the hell out of these balloons. And my husband and I sat from afar and looked at him like, what is happening here? And we looked at each other and we chuckled and we said, yep. We got that kid. That is our son trying to tear up the party decorations and like laughing and having fun, like the time of his life, but just shaking these balloons to high hell. And he's like, I don't know what you guys thought balloons were for, but this is what balloons are for. And I'm going to show you. And we laugh because, especially me, before I had kids, I would say things like, these people need to get their kids. That boy need a spanking. He's not listening. She's not listening. Man, people got bad kids. What are they doing? Where are the parents? That was me. And it's like, you better be quiet and quit judging people. Like, you don't have kids, so it's easy to say what another child should be doing. The minute you have your own, like, your foot goes all the way in your mouth. Everything you said about other people's kids, or like the whole thing on the plane crying, they should just stop crying. Why are these kids crying? Where their mom and daddy at? Listen, all those comments will come back to bite you. I used to be the main one because I said I didn't want kids. I was around a lot of kids and I have godchildren and mentees and nieces, a trillion nieces and nephews. So I've been around kids my whole life. I've started nonprofits. Like, I've been around kids my whole life, but it's different to have your own. And I just had these thoughts of how it would be and how it would go. And then you have your own child and you're like, you know what? That is why you just keep your mouth shut about things. This is why you judge your own truth in that moment, because you never know how it's going to come back on you. And multiple areas in my life, I've done that, and it's come back to bite me. And I've just realized that a lot of us live that way. Like, when we learn something or we discover something, there's nothing wrong with sharing it. Like, if you feel free to share with your friends or those who would like to hear from you, there's nothing wrong with sharing it. But as far as judging someone according to your own truth. I just don't think that's fair. And I wish someone would have told me this many years ago. And that is why I'm telling you this. Someone needs to hear this. Give people grace. Give people grace. And it's funny I'm saying this. Watch, something's going to appear. A situation is going to happen that I'm going to have to give someone grace that I'm going to be really irritated with. That's usually how that happens. You have to practice what you're preaching and it comes to test you. But give people grace to know that everyone is on a journey and our journeys look different. And there are 1,000,001 ways to maneuver your journey and to get to the finish line. 1,000,001 ways. And you just have to understand that. Like if we're going on a path across the country, you can get there by car, by bike, by roller skates, by skateboard, by train, by boat, by a scooter, like walking, running, skipping, jumping. Like there's 1,000,000 ways to get to your destination. And there's 1,000,000 ways to travel on your journey. Who's to say that because I am running on my journey and because you're on your skateboard that I'm doing it better than you? Or you're doing it better than me? Like who's to say that? And we get so caught up in what we believe to be true, no matter what it is, that sometimes we can look down on others when they're not living up to what we think they should be living up to. And I've experienced that on the end where I have judged others in my past, and I've experienced it where I have been judged. And it's not fun. That doesn't feel fun. To feel like because you're not doing what someone thinks you should be doing in the best optimal way, that you're doing something wrong or you're going to be damned or you have a ticket to hell or whatever it is you believe, whatever the low of the low is, or your life won't be successful or whatever it is, whatever you fear the most, you think that's going to happen to you. Like you've got to live your life for you and you've got to figure out what works for you. I am so appreciative of my journey, even those things that no longer serve me now. I'm so appreciative for those things that served me back then, because I have found that every level that I was on and every bit of information that I received and everything that I learned along the way was exactly what I needed for where I was in that time. Like I would not be who I am today without the things that I've learned and experienced. I would not be able to speak to you with such clarity and conviction had I not learned what I learned, read the books that I read, went to the conferences I went to, been mentored by the people who I was mentored by. That, all of that is a culmination of who I am. However, I have had to alter my journey according to what's true for me today. And I have decided that it's just not fair for me to place my beliefs so harshly on someone else that if they don't do it, then something's wrong with them, you know? So I just wanted to share this quick message with you today. Again, if my podcast and if these episodes help one person or make one person say, I never thought about it that way, or wow, that's a good perspective, or like anything, if it makes any one person out of all the people who listen, if one person does that, then I feel like my mission is accomplished. Because even with the things that I share here, some of these things may resonate with you, some of them may not. It is okay. I trust that you are able to take what you need and leave the rest at the table. That's what I trust you can do, because that's what I do. That's what I believe. I take what I need, I leave the rest. And whatever I need, I can apply if it applies to me. It may just be information just to hear for a future time, or maybe it's something that resonated with me in my past. So that is my hope for you today, that you're able to have one thing that resonates with you that will allow you to show up better for yourself and also for those around you, and to love on those people around you and to give them the grace and the space that they need to find what truth serves them. Thank you all for listening. Remember, if you'd like to connect with me beyond the podcast, my email list is the place to be. Go to www.iamachie.com/let's connect. And if my work has inspired you in any way and you'd like to support, you can always treat me to a cup of coffee. That link will be in the show notes as well. Remember that I love you, I see you, and I want you to win. Talk to you next week. Bye for now. I know firsthand how challenging this personal development journey can be. It can feel lonely, confusing, overwhelming, and even difficult to know exactly where to start. That is why I created an amazing resource for you. Go to iamachie.com to download a free audio training that discusses the top 2 things you should focus on as you begin or continue your journey to shifting your mindset. Yep, only 2 things. I like to keep it simple and actionable. Again, that's iamachie.com. And also, if you enjoyed today's episode, I have a favor to ask of you. My goal is to get this podcast in front of as many women as possible. The things I discuss are the things I wish someone would have told me when I began this journey. So in order to do that, please take a few seconds to share this episode with a friend and leave a 5-star review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can get notified when I release new episodes. I love you, I see you, and I'm rooting for you. Bye for now.